Sir is also written some book chapters. So I request our HOD, Dr. SD Sanjay sir, to please felicitate to our today's resource person, Dr. Rahul Dandge, by giving this virtual bouquet.
Yes, thank you, Chaudhary sir. It is my honor and privilege to felicitate today's resource person, Dr. Rahul G. Dandge sir. Sir, in spite of your busy schedule, you have taken time and to guide our student on the very important topic related to the project management. So whatever knowledge shared by you during this interaction, during this session, will definitely help our student. With this word, I thanks Chaudhary sir, coordinator for today's session, to arrange the session of Rahul sir in such a short duration of time. Thank you, Chaudhary sir, as well as the entire team for arranging this session for our students. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. So without any delay, I hand over the charge of this today's session to Rahul sir. Rahul sir.
Yeah, thank you, Chaudhary sir. Thank you, Sanjay sir, for your words of appreciation. And I will share my screen. So before we, dear students, before we move to our actual contents of today's session, that is importance of project management in successful project execution, just I will like to share one video which is by Project Management Institute, recently released in April 2022 itself. After the pandemic, how the job scenario had changed and what is the growing importance of project managers in the industries globally, and how you can tap this particular opportunity. Because as I discussed with Chaudhary sir, most of you are final year students, and after completion of your graduation in mechanical engineering, most of you will be trying to have your employment in different industries in India and also abroad. So whenever you are trying to seek different opportunities, so project management or projects, this is one of the key area wherein you can find growing opportunities. And I will just share one video which will give this particular insight into what is the importance of this project management field into the industrial sector globally, especially after the pandemic. So just check whether you are able to view as well as listen to this particular video. You can just check the audio. Is it audible?
As we adapt to new ways of working and prepare for future disruption, organizations
Is it audible and visible? Somebody?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay.
will see a growing need for skilled project managers. The PMI 2022 Jobs Report showcases emerging sectors and trending industries where project leaders can find opportunities to drive growth and innovation in every region of the globe. Countries in the Asia-Pacific region expect their economies to grow in 2022. Meanwhile, talent is in high demand in many countries and industries. While China's economy has experienced a slight slowdown, a number of factors should contribute to increased project activity, including consumer spending increases and China's energy transition plan. Supply chain disruption and rising energy prices, along with rapid digitalization, are driving an increased demand for project professionals in Europe, especially in IT. The current conflict in the region will have long-term humanitarian and economic consequences that will require response. There has been a spike in demand throughout Latin America for project managers, particularly in the technology and manufacturing sectors. Rebounding oil pricing, government investment in high-profile mega-projects, and international events like Expo 2020 Dubai and the 2022 FIFA World Cup promise to reinvigorate the region's economy and need for project managers. The Great Resignation and supply chain problems have put job seekers in high demand in the US and Canada as companies look toward automation and digitization to protect against future disruption. Despite the pandemic, the global demand for products manufactured in South Asia has continued to increase over the past 2 years. As a result, companies are willing to invest more in project managers with strong innovation and leadership skills. Nearly a third of global aid, roughly $32 billion, is spent in Africa, and that's fueling new development jobs across the region, up to 45% of which will need project talent. The demand for project talent is high around the world. Are you ready to take your career to the next level?
I hope this video must have created curiosity, and also it must have created interest among you people as far as the project management domain is concerned, and the importance of project management in why the people are aspiring to have good project managers or having inclusion of project management is all because there are multiple projects which are globally going on, and if the projects need to be successfully executed, there needs to be implementation of uh, the project management philosophy, which is standardized philosophy by institutions like project management institutions. And if we can imbibe this particular project management culture into our organizations, then definitely every activity whatever we are carrying out can be considered to be in the form of a project, and then organizations will be able to successfully execute each and every project whatever they are undertaking. So we'll start with the very basics, and we will start with the definitions of project. As everybody knows, you being final year student, you must have completed your final year project, and everyone's project, like you perform your project in group, everybody's project is a different project. Everybody's project is having some uniqueness, some difference from what other people they are doing. And even though you are trying to carry out some project similar to some project which has been carried out earlier, still there is something which is unique, there is something which is not not experienced earlier, and there are certain characteristics wherein when we talk about project, this is a temporary endeavor. We have a definite start, we have a definite end for that particular project endeavor we are carrying out, and the result, the outcome of this particular activities we are carrying out, it results into certain unique product or some unique services. We are having multiple activities, multiple tasks which are combined together in the form of a specific schedule. This will be having a specific timeline, specific schedule, specific resources allotted, and those particular resources may be in the form of human resources or in the form of non-human resources, which will be together for a temporary period of time to achieve a specific goal. So this is something which is which we can say about the projects. These are some examples to what we should say this is project. So it may be developing new pharmaceutical compound, it may be merging two different organizations, or if we are going for exploring oil in a particular region, or it may be setting up any factory. So multiple ways in which we can execute the project, or we can have the different examples of the projects which are executed globally. So like these are some of the examples wherein we can find the projects which have been executed, or the projects which can be executed. Like nowadays also, if you see in India, we are having there are multiple projects which are going on parallelly. It may be projects related to rapid transit systems like metro, it may be projects related to infrastructure development, it may be certain projects related to some new manufacturing facilities development. It can be project like Make in India. So there are multiple types of projects, variety of projects which are going on, and especially the entire world is looking at India, because India has become a hub for many different projects which are executed by a variety of organizations globally, and they are looking at India to invest as one of the growing economy, or which is considered to be the hub for starting multiple projects. Now, when we talk about projects and when we talk about different standard business activities, or normally we say operations, there is difference. When we talk about standard business activities or operations, they are routine activities. They are having a standard format of carrying out, standard format of execution. We know how the activity is going to carry out. So there are no surprises whenever we go for operations, whenever we go for standard business activities. Almost all the things, they are settled, they are freezed, and it is easier to carry out these particular operations. But when we talk about the projects, since the projects, they are unique in nature, they are having a defined time scale, they have limited resources, they have especially some amount of the risk which is associated with various activities involved in carrying out the project. And the success of project may be depending upon how you can implement the project management philosophies, how much competency your project manager is having in handling the particular project, and how you can be with the standards and certifications globally which are recognized in the project management domain. So these particular aspects make the project different from the standard business activities. The characteristics of project, we talk about the complexity is one of the important characteristic. As you go for, if you are having smaller projects, then the complexity may be less. But if you go for the projects which are huge, the projects which are the scale of your project, if it is a huge scale. Yes, is there an issue? It is going on smoothly.
Yes, sir.
Okay. There was some disturbance.
Yes,
I thought there is some issue. Especially if we talk about the size of projects, small projects may have less complexity, but the bigger projects will have higher complexity. Similarly, if we talk about the projects which are carried out, executed domestically, then the complexity may be less. But when we talk about the projects which are international projects, global projects, the complexity goes on increasing. So all the projects, they are started with some specific objective, some outcome, some goal which has been set, and each and every activity, each and every step, whatever we are following, all the resources whatever we are having, they all are directed towards how we can go for achieving these particular goals. The projects, they have limited resources. We say the projects are characterized by limited resources. And when we talk about the resources, it is in the form of financial resources, it is in the form of the time which is available, and in the form of any human, non-human resources which are required. And finally, the major characteristic of project is every activity, every step, whatever we are carrying out, the things are customer focused. There are three different terminologies which are normally used as far as the project management is concerned. In the entire project management domain, project management discipline, we talk about three different terminologies as project, program, and portfolio. So these are hierarchical level. So projects are at the bottom. We have certain projects. Similar type of projects can be clubbed together under a specific program, and similar type of programs can be clubbed together under some portfolio which has been defined for a specific organization. So an organization can have a portfolio. Under the portfolio, they can have different programs, and under the programs, you can go on clubbing together similar kind of projects which are in line with the program whatever we have defined. So these are the levels. So we have projects at the bottom, then the similar kind of projects, they are clubbed under the heading as program, and similar kind of programs, they are clubbed under the heading of any portfolio. So this is the way we have to take into consideration the three different terminologies, that is project, program, and portfolio. Talking about the stakeholders of project. Any project, if you talk about this, is a sample list. The list can go on increasing. You can go on including multiple stakeholders, because when we try to define the concept of stakeholder, it is nothing but anyone. It may be any organization, it may be any person, it may be any entity which has got either direct or indirect effect on your project, or it is getting affected directly or indirectly by the project objectives. So likewise, for different types of projects, you can have different types of stakeholders which we can identify, but these are the basic types of stakeholders. So we call it as key stakeholders. Project manager, because all the decisions they are taken by project manager, he is the leading authority. Customer, because or end user, the organization which is performing the project, the team members who are associated with the project manager, the entire project management team, the sponsor or the financing authority for your project, and anyone who is having certain influence on your project objectives, that can be considered to be the key stakeholder of your project. When we talk about successful execution of the project, our title is the role of project management in successful project execution. To what we say as the project is successful, when we can say the project is successful, so we need to consider the basic parameters which are essential to understand the success of any project. The first parameter is budget. If we can complete the project within the budget which has been allotted, which is the sanctioned budget, we can say the project is successful. Secondly, the schedule. When we start with the project, we define a timeline, we prepare a schedule. If we can complete the project within the timeline, within the given schedule, we say the project is successful. So these are the two aspects. Now, normally, most of the projects, they fail because of either they go for over budget, or we call it as cost overrun, or they go for the schedule to be exceeded, we call it as the time overrun. So if it is a cost overrun or time overrun, the project is supposed to be a failure. So if we can accommodate the project within the budget, within the schedule, that can be one of the success factor we can consider. Third is about the performance or the quality of our project. If we are able to deliver whatever objectives, whatever parameters, whatever goals we have set, we can say the project is successful. And finally, the client acceptance for the project, that is the final authentication of the project is successful. So with these four parameters, if we want to complete our project within budget, within schedule, to have the performance as we are expecting, and finally the client should go for acceptance of our project, then implementation of project management philosophy, implementation of project management methodology to execute the project, to carry out the project, is one of the essential ingredient for any project. Now, talking about why, what is the global scenario, what is the statistics about the project. So you can see there are two pie charts we have represented over here. One is about the small projects and second is about the large projects, and what is the percentage of projects which are successful, which are challenged, and which are in the failed category. So obviously you can see, if we talk about the small projects, almost 76% of the projects, they are in the successful category, only 20% they are challenged, and only 4% they are failed. So you can see the percentage of projects which are on the verge of failure or which have already been failed, it is very, very less. But if you compare this statistic with the large size projects, then you can see in this particular case the successful projects are only 10%. There are more projects in the failure category, that is 38% projects they have failed. So we can say around approximately 40% the projects they have failed, and the major concern is about the 52% which are challenged. Now, the projects which have been already failed, we cannot do anything about that, but the projects which are challenged, the percentage is 52. If the globally, the scientists, the researchers, the people who are project professionals, they have accepted, they have experienced that if we implement the project management philosophy as per the standards, as per the frameworks which have been provided by global standard institutions like PMI, then there are chances that the project will have maximum chances of getting successful. So if we focus on these 52% projects which are challenged and try to implement the project management philosophy as per the standards specified, then more and more projects which are challenged may get converted into the successful projects. Otherwise, if we don't implement the standardized project management philosophy into these particular projects, there are more chances that these 52% projects which are challenged, they will converge towards the failure, and the percentage of failure projects will go on increasing, and percentage of successful projects will go on reducing, or it will be less, and the failure projects will be more. So we need to focus upon the projects which are in the challenged region, and how best we can implement the project management philosophy which can bring, or which can pull those particular challenged projects from challenged category to the successful category instead of going to the failure category. That is the major role a project manager needs to carry out, needs to execute in any project. Talking about the concept of project management, basically it is the application of knowledge, skills, tools, and techniques to different project activities so that we will be able to meet the project requirements. This particular project management we are accomplishing through appropriate application and integration of project management processes identified for the particular project. So there are different processes which are a part of any particular project, and these different processes we need to club into different process groups which have been defined by project management handbook, and how we can execute these particular processes in the most optimized manner we can, with least resources and with highest performance, so that will be giving indication that we are able to execute the projects in the effective and efficient manner. There are 5 different processes under the project management. So any project, if we talk about any project and the entire project life cycle, the project life cycle is divided into 5 different process groups or 5 different processes, 5 different stages. We start with the initiation, we have planning, then next is execution, then monitoring and control, and finally the closure of the project. So these all 5 processes, they are spread across the project life cycle. So if we talk about this particular diagram, you can see we have project initiator or sponsor who initiates your project. Then the inputs, project inputs, whatever we have, they are taken into consideration during the initiating processes. Then we have planning, then execution, and finally you have closing processes. Throughout these all processes, you will be having monitoring and controlling, because monitoring and controlling needs to be there during the initiation phase, it needs to be there in the planning phase, it needs to be there while execution, and also when you are going for closure of the project, still we require some monitoring and controlling processes. So that is a holistic process group which is spread across all the different processes we are carrying out at the end of this particular project. So when we talk about the project boundaries, there is a definite start and there is definite end. So when you initiate the project, that is the starting point of our project, and when you go for closure, it is the end point of our project. Once the project is finished, then we are coming up with 2 different types of outcomes. One outcome which is useful to the end user, that is the project deliverables, the actual it may be certain product, it may be certain services which will be used by the end user, which will be used by the customer or the agency, the party for which the project has been executed. So this is nothing but the project deliverables. And secondly, the another outcome from your project must be in the form of project records. So these particular project records will be kept as the record in the form of lessons learned, so that whenever you are trying to execute similar kind of project, this particular project record will serve a guidebook. It will serve as a handbook, it will give some guidelines for the new project manager to carry out the similar kind of project in future, so that his efforts will be less. He will be having slightly some background about what can be the different processes, what can be the resources required, what are the different challenges which were faced earlier, how the challenges were overcome, what different activities were required, which risks were incorporated or which risks were experienced by the project team, and how this particular project was executed successfully. If this particular record is available, it will be easier for the new project manager to carry out similar kind of project. This is about the history of project management. This is not a new concept, even though we this particular concept has got a boom, or everybody had started talking about the project management in last maybe 15-20 years. But this project management is in place for many years. uh, Formally we can say US military, they started with the Manhattan Project, and the concept of project management, it was introduced by them. But we have these particular projects, they are executed in different fields, different areas of working, but especially it started in 1946 by US military. Talking about effective project management, if we have project management incorporated into our projects, we'll be able to meet the business objectives. We can satisfy the customer expectations or the stakeholder expectations. The project will have more predictable nature. We'll be able to predict what is going to happen in the future. There are increased chances of success. So that is one of the peculiarity, the speciality of a project management implementation, that it increases the chances of success for any particular project. Delivering the right product at the right time, the project management will able, or it will help the project manager to resolve the problems and issues. It will be helping to respond the risk in timely manner. The resources can be used in optimized manner. Whenever we try to terminate the project, it will ease the termination of the project in a smooth way. Whatever constraints we have, how to manage the constraints in the effective manner, and if there are any change management practices required, that can also be possible if we have effective project management. On the other way, if we are missing with the project management philosophies, if there is absence, or the project management is implemented but it is not effectively implemented, we may be missing the deadlines, there may be cost overruns, there may be schedule overruns, the quality of whatever outcomes we have, it may not be matching with the requirements. There may be several instances where we will need to rework and carry out the different activities. Uncontrolled expansion of the project, so scope creep. Normally we talk in terms of project management philosophy as scope creep. We define the project scope while we start with the project in a different way, and as we progress through the life cycle of the project, the project go on expanding in different directions. The scope gets creeped, the scope is not as it was defined. Loss of reputation, that can be one of the very you can say, in the long run, if the projects are not executed properly, that is going to have loss of reputation for the organization. Stakeholders will be unsatisfied, and ultimately the project, for whatever objectives it has been carried out, will not be able to achieve those particular objectives. There are three constraints. We normally say it is triple constraints of project management: scope goals, time goals, and cost goals. So these are the three different aspects. Scope, project scope is one of the important aspect. Project schedule, second aspect, and project cost. Sometimes we go for quadruple constraints, in which we can add also one more, that is quality, and scope, time, cost, and quality. This can be the four different goals, four different constraints that we can consider under the project management. These are the different types of process groups over the project life cycle, right from the start of project to the end of the project. On a timeline, if we try to understand the different process groups, and the level of interactions, process interactions. So you can see initiating process group, it starts immediately at the starting point. Initially it has got more process interactions because it is the initiating process group. Initially there will be many processes involved during the start of your project. So initiating process group has more activities at the beginning, and slowly it will be diminishing. Secondly, we are starting with the planning process group. So planning the activities will have work almost throughout the project activities, throughout the project life cycle. Almost we can say 75% of the project life cycle, there will be planning of different activities that is going to carry out. And in this planning process group, you will find maximum level of process interactions. Always there will be process and interactions happening. Third is about the executing process groups. Once you have initiated a project, once you have started planning different activities, the execution will start, and this particular execution will have more level of process interactions during the midway of your project. That is, the project execution will be almost up to the end of your projects, but the higher level of process interactions will be at the middle of the project. Then monitoring and control, you can see the monitoring and control is also spread across the project life cycle, and the level of processing interactions, they are higher at the middle level of your project life cycle. And finally, the closing process group. The closing process group activities will start maybe after 50% of your project life cycle, or maybe 60% of your project life cycle. Slowly the level of process interactions will go on increasing, and gradually towards the finishing line of your project, the closing process group will try to finish off all the activities, trying to finish off the different activities and processes we are carrying out to complete the particular project and hand it over to the customer. Then there are different processes which we have inside the process groups. Like these are the 5 process groups we have seen. Under each process group, there are different activities, there are different processes which need to be carried out, and these have been grouped together to form a particular process group. So developing a project charter and preliminary project scope statement, defining these 2 activities, these 2 processes, they are a part of your initiating process group. So I will not go into details reading this. You can just go through this different processes, different activities which we have under each process group, whatever we are defining. Planning process group, these are the different activities, these are the different processes. Executing process group, these are the variety of activities we have. If you people need, I will share the PPT to Chaudhary sir, and that can be circulated to all the students as a reference material for future. Monitoring and controlling process group, these are the different activities which are carried out. And finally, the closing process group, close the project and contract closure. So whatever contractors, subcontractors contract with the customer, different types of contracting which may be a part of your project, closing the contracts and closing the project, this will be the final activity which is under consideration. Now, apart from these 5 process groups, there are 10 knowledge areas which have been defined by Project Management Institute. So in this particular diagram, slightly the diagram, you may not be visualize each and every letter, because the diagram is having so much contents, and we need to map the 10 knowledge areas with different 5 process groups. So this is the diagram from 2017 handbook for project management body of knowledge. So in this case, you on the left hand side, you can see there are different knowledge areas: project integration management, project scope management, project schedule management. Earlier, the project schedule management was termed as project time management, but now the terminology is project schedule management, project cost management, project quality management, project resource management. Earlier it was project human resource management. Now instead of human resource, the new terminology after 2017 is project resource management, project communication management, project risk management, project procurement management, and project stakeholder management. So whatever processes we have seen till now, under each process group, so like in initiating process group, we have seen there are 2 activities: developing the project charter and identifying the stakeholders. So these 2 activities, they are part of project integration management, will consist of developing project charter, and project stakeholder management will consist of identifying the stakeholders. So this particular diagram, we have mapping of different knowledge areas with the different process groups, whatever we have, and how the different processes, which processes can be mapped with what process group and what knowledge area. This particular chart is clearly defining this particular mapping. Then again, under each knowledge area, so I will just go in brief about all the knowledge areas, right from integration management to finally the stakeholder management. Under each knowledge area, which are the activities, they have been clubbed together. These activities are part of which process group? This particular diagram, it is explaining. So these are the different activities which are a part of project integration management. This is the explanation. Like project charter, it is the official document. This is the formal document which is authorizing that the project is going to be into existence, and who will be the project manager that will be handling the particular project. So once the project charter is created, that is going to have the assignment of a project manager to a specific project, so that he will be assigned with the authority to take the decisions, to apply the resources, to utilize the resources, and carry out the different project activities. So likewise, developing project management plan, directing and managing the project work, and up to close project or phase, these are the different activities under different project process groups that will be a part of project integration management. Then scope management, as we have defined scope, we should be able to understand what we are going to do and what we are not going to do. So project scope, defining the project scope and managing the project scope, these are the essential requirements of project scope management. These are the various activities. Project time management, under this time management or schedule management, we need to define the schedule, we need to plan the schedule, we need to define the activities, sequence the activities, we need to understand the resource requirements of the activities, and finally prepare the schedule so that we can understand what is the overall schedule required for completion of the project. And also we need to go for controlling the schedule. Always there has to be a check, what was the timeline, what was the schedule defined, and what is the actual status of the project, whether we are lagging behind, whether we are moving ahead, or whether we are on time. And accordingly we need to readjust or rearrange our activities or the resource requirements which are there. These are the definitions and the details of project time management. Project cost management, basically focusing about all the financial aspects of our project, budget estimation, controlling the cost, planning the cost management. This is one of the important area, because quality is one of the constraints, quadruple constraints we say about the scope, cost, time, and quality. So quality planning, performing quality assurance, every time check whether the activities they have been performed as per the specifications, as per the requirement or not, and accordingly having the quality control for different activities. Project human resource management, this was the earlier terminology up to 2017. Afterwards, after 2017, instead of project human resource management, it is renamed as project resources management. So planning the HR management, acquiring the project team, developing the project team, managing the project team, these are the different activities we are carrying out. Communication management. So we don't feel that communication can be one of the important parameter, but project communication management has been identified as one of the knowledge area, key knowledge area, which needs proper attention and proper planning, how we are going to have the communication within our project organization, especially because of the global projects, the projects which are carried out internationally, the projects which have the agencies and the stakeholders from different countries across the globe. If the communication is not proper, if the communication plan is not defined properly, it can make or break kind of situation for any project. So if there is effective communication, the things will be very simple, things will be very effective. But if there is ineffective communication across the stakeholders, that can also lead projects toward failure. Project risk management. Every project is associated with some kind of risk. There are different risks at different stages of project life cycle. The risk which may be there in the initiating phase may not be there at the closure phase. The risk which is associated with the execution may not be associated with the planning. So every process group, every activity where it is executed or where it is lying in the project life cycle, there can be different types of risk that particular activity may be experiencing. And if this particular risk they have been identified prior, if they have been identified at the initial phases, it will become easier for the project manager to respond to those particular risks. And for that purpose, there need to have a proper project risk management in place for any organization or for any particular project. These are the different activities, like we need to identify risk, we need to analyze the risk, we need to plan the responses, and also we need to control the risk. Talking about the project risk management, any risk, whenever we go for analyzing the risks they are analyzed based upon what is the probability of occurrence and what will be the impact. So sometimes we say probability of occurrence is likelihood and impact is nothing but the consequences, how much it is going to affect the project objective. So based upon these two parameters, so normally we try to evaluate the effect of any particular risk category based upon two parameters, that is probability and impact. So we take a product of this. So if both are higher, like the probability of occurrence is also high and the consequences or the impact is also going to be higher, so you can see these are coming under the extreme cases. So project may need to abandon, project may need to terminate. So as you go from right to left or from top to bottom, the likelihood will go on reducing or the consequences or impact will also go on reducing. So the effect of the risk will be low. If it is in between, it can be moderate, it can be higher, or it can be to the extreme end. So depending upon the risk category, its probability of occurrence or likelihood and its impact or consequence, we can define, we can be able to understand the severity of the particular risk category on your project objectives. Talking about the project risk responses, the different strategies which we can have to respond the risk categories, these are avoid, mitigate, transfer, and accept. So beautifully this particular picture explains these particular four strategies for responding the risk. If my project is to jump from this particular as shown in the diagram in the valley, then one is, first thing I can go for avoiding. So the risk which is in jumping from this particular the hilly area, I can go for avoiding this particular risk. Secondly, I can plan some activities which, if I am not able to avoid this kind of risk, at least the impact whatever I will be having, because it is going to happen for sure, then at least how we can go for reducing the impact. So I can go for having some measures which will try to decrease the effect of that particular risk, the impact of that particular risk. Sometimes we can go for transferring the risk to somebody else. So normally people go for subcontracting, people go for mergers, people go for having a partnership with some firms, so that the risk can be transferred, the risk can be shared with someone. Instead of we alone to take the particular risk, the risk can be, instead of me, you should jump. So that is a kind of transferring the risk from one to another in the form of having contracts or subcontracts. That can be another way of mitigating or responding to the risk categories. And if we cannot avoid, if we cannot mitigate, if we cannot go for transferring, then finally we need to accept the risk. Like there is some kind of incidences like cyclone or some natural calamity, we need to accept that particular risk and try to think upon how we can come up out of that particular failure or risk whatever is experienced by the project. Next is about the procurement management. This is one of the important area, because whatever resources you have, you need to have some suppliers, the procurement for different activities to be carried out. So how we are going to plan our procurement, how we are going to conduct the procurement, how we can go for control, and finally the closing of the procurement. These are the different activities which we should consider. Talking about the stakeholder management. Stakeholder, these are the, as we have discussed, these are the different entities which are having direct or indirect interest into our project objectives or influence on our project objectives. So we need to go for identifying the project stakeholders, plan the stakeholders, manage them, and control them properly. Now talking about the advantages, whatever we can have through the use of project management, we can have better control of physical resources, human resources, financial resources. The customer relations, they can be improved. The development times within your project, they can be shorter. We can have lower cost. The reliability can be increased for your organization. The profit margins can be more. You can have higher profit margins. The internal coordination between different project team members, between the various stakeholders, that can be improved. The strategic goals we can meet easily, or there can be a positive impact, and the overall employee morale or the worker morale, that can be higher if we apply the project management philosophies. Now, to implement this project management within our project, for our particular project, different types of project, the different type of organizational structures, normally they are in place. But if we try to adopt a pure project kind of organizational structure, this is going to separate the project from rest of the parent system. So within your organization, you can have your own team, you can have your own project team, and this particular team will be focused on how we can go for achieving the different project objectives. So this is a self-contained unit. So all the resources, all the requirements, they will be self-contained. They will be within that particular team. So this particular type of project organizational structure is advisable if we want to go for executing the project in successful manner, so that the project manager will have full liberty. He will have full authority to take the decisions, to utilize the resources, to manage the different activities, to utilize the team, whatever he is having, and the different functions. It may be marketing, it may be manufacturing, it may be R&D, it may be financial aspects, or it may be related to HR and other aspects. The project manager will have direct access to all the functional area of the particular project, and what is happening in project A and what is happening in project B, the altogether things will be different. And the project A, the manager for project A will have full control on all the functional areas which are executed for A project, but he will not have anything to do as far as the project B is concerned, because every project will be treated as a self-contained unit, as a separate entity. These are some of the advantages for pure project organizational structure. So basic advantage is the project manager has full line authority. That is the biggest advantage for having a pure project organizational structure. The project manager will work like CEO of a firm, so that everything under that. So another disadvantage, if we talk about the compatibility and the skills of project manager, that are going to be the deciding factor for your project, because we are working under pure project organizational structure. Project manager is the person who will be having full authority and he will be taking all the decisions. So his compatibility, his skills, his expertise, his experience, that is going to matter in execution of the project in successful manner. One of the important tool which is used for managing the project is work breakdown structure. So just I will go for, this is breaking your work into different elements and sub element at different levels. So you can have a flowchart kind of structure wherein different activities, different sub activities, we can go on depicting at different levels, so that right from top to bottom, if you go on separating out, we can differentiate different activities, assembly, sub assembly kind of activities, sub activities. We can go on actually understanding the volume of work which we are supposed to carry out. So like level 1, level 2, as we go from top to bottom, we go for increasing the different activities to sub activities to different elements. If you go from bottom to top, we are going for achieving the project objectives. So the objective is written at the top, that is the head of your the entire flow chart, and we are going for having different activities, sub activities written at the bottom side. We go on at different levels to break down the activities into different elements. These are the different examples. No logical work breakdown structure. So wedding project, a wedding ceremony is, if we consider a project, all the activities on single level. So there is no logical way of defining the levels. If we go for functional specialization, then event programming, that can be one functional area. Guest arrangement, that can be another. Catering, that can be third one. Music entertainment, that can be another one. Under each, there can be different activities, there can be sub activities. So we can go on breaking down the different acts. So that's why work is broken down into elements and sub elements. So that's why we call it as a work breakdown structure. The work which is at the top, the project, is going to get divided into different phases, different activities, different sub activities into elements, so that the actual volume of work, the resource requirement, the time estimation, that will be more and more accurate. If we want to identify the project can be identified based upon different parameters. One may be demand of a particular product, another may be the competitors, what they are doing, then market and potential returns, regulatory environment, that can be another factor to decide which project we are going to undertake, the cost involved with a particular project, payback period and break-even analysis, how much will be the investment and how much time it will take to get back that particular investment, raw material availability. So these are some of the factors which affect the decision for project identification and project selection. So if we are having multiple projects in front of us and we are supposed to select a specific project, then these are different parameters which we need to consider when we are selecting a project. We have talked about the competencies and skills of project manager. So if we want to have our project successful, project manager has the immense role in leading the project towards success. And these are some of the strong skills the project manager should possess: people skill, leadership, listening ability, strong at building trust, the verbal communication, building teams, negotiation, decision making, coaching, conflict management, critical thinking, problem solving. These are, like we talk about leadership skills. Project manager is a leader, and the leader, whatever skills he should possess to lead that particular team. Similar kind of skills. In addition to that, some more skills. The project is unique, so accordingly, the project manager should possess the skills to lead the project towards success. After project manager, the next part is related to the team which is associated with the project manager, which is actually involved in execution of the project. So how the project team is formed? So there are different stages for project team formation: the forming, storming, norming, performing, and adjourning. These are the 5 stages which are standardized phases for team formation for any particular project. During forming, the team members, they are brought together, because the team members may be from different functional areas. Some team members may be from your organization, some team members may be from outside the organization. So during forming stage, we are just bringing all the team members together. During storming stage, as it is the name itself suggests, the team members will start interacting with each other. As they start interacting with each other, try to adjust with each other, try to collaborate with each other, there will be some differences, there will be some conflicts. So this particular stage is adjusting with each other. The team members will start interacting and trying to get adjusted with each other. In norming stage, they will start actually adjusted. Now after storming, in norming, they have understood the behavioral patterns, the way other people is, how he is working, what are the emotions, what are the work habits, what are the work practices, and they try to learn how we can trust each other. Once this norming phase is over, then actually the team will start performing, and during the adjourning, again the team members will depart from each other. They will again maybe back to their own organization or back to their own functional area. So this is the standard way of forming your team. Another important aspect in project management is conflict. When we have multiple activities carried out, the project team is comprising of members from different working area, functional area. Definitely there will be some instances where there will be some conflict, there will be some differences, but the project manager has to take care that the conflicts will not become a problem. The conflicts need to be resolved wherever they are occurring, and basically the conflicts may be due to groups working on the project. They have different goals and expectations. That can be one of the reasons. There can be considerable uncertainty about who is having the authority to take certain decisions. Another area for having the conflicts, and there can be some interpersonal conflicts between the people. So the project manager needs to have the skill how he is going to resolve this particular conflict. So there can be some negotiations, there can be some measures to be taken, like separating the people from the particular problem, asking the people to focus on the interest, not upon the positions. Whatever is the criteria we are using, we should insist on using objective kind of criteria, and we should try to find out multiple options which will be mutually beneficial to the parties which are which are associated with a particular conflict. So it should be a win-win situation for both the parties under the particular conflict. At the end of your project, we may go for auditing the project. The audit needs to be carried out in three different aspects. Quality, the quality aspects need to be checked. Quality audit needs to be carried out. Risk audit, what type of risk they have experienced, what were the root causes, how the risk can be mitigated, eliminated, what are the effect of this particular risk on project objectives, and procurement audit related to all type of procurement which is under consideration. Reasons for project termination. We are coming to the end phase of our project, this particular presentation. So there can be different reasons for which the project may lead to termination. Like the objectives have been achieved, that can be one of the reasons. Why the project has been started. If you are able to achieve those objectives, now no need to continue the project. When we understand that the project objectives will not be met, that now it is impossible to meet these particular objectives, then also we need to terminate the project. Funding exhausted, that can be one of the reason. Human or physical resources which are required, if they are not available, maybe we need to terminate the project. And some legal causes, inconvenience, that can be also one of the reason for project termination. These are the references. This is the guide, or we can say the handbook for project management. If you really want to understand the crux of project management, the different philosophies, this project management body of knowledge, this is the 6th edition published in 2017. The 7th edition has been already published in 2021. Every 4 years, Project Management Institute revises the project management body of knowledge, PMBOK guide, and come up with the new edition. So 7th edition is 2021, which is already there in the market. So this is the 6th edition cover book. After having said everything about the project management and use of project management in successful project execution, just one slide about my organization. I belong to MIT, Dr. Vishwanath Karad, MIT World Peace University, which is situated in Kothurud region of Pune. This is the world's first university which is known for life transformation. It has been in existence for 4 decades in the higher education field. Across globe, there are more than 1 lakh alumni, 1000 plus dedicated faculty members are associated, and the specialty of our curriculum is the internships, and 100% students, they are provided with the internships, and they are going for their summer internships either in the pre-final year or final year. So this is all about my presentation. Since we had planned for 1 hour presentation, project management is not a kind of subject which can be covered in a duration of 1 hour or something. It is a subject of maybe for entire semester 40-48 hours we can have discussion on this. Still there may be many aspects which we need to discuss more than that, but I have tried to cover some of the important points which may be satisfying your requirements and maybe satisfying the requirements of the organizers. So I hope, Chaudhary sir, whatever contents we have discussed, they were as per your requirement and as per your expectations from my side. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. So students, if you have any question or any
if
doubt,
you have any questions, you can please. I have circulated one Google form for feedback and one MCQ test to Chaudhary sir. Sir will be circulating it to you. So please appear for the test, give your valuable feedback so that things can be improved in future. And also, if you have any queries, you can also maybe in future you can redirect it through Chaudhary sir to me, and your queries will be definitely answered. Whatever possible guidance I can provide, I will be happy to provide the guidance. So thank you very much.
So any question, any doubt, students?
So either they have understood everything or
Yes, sir.
They have simply logged in and moved somewhere.
Actually, some students are on YouTube.
Yeah. It is YouTube live also, so
Yes.
some students will be
Yes, sir.
attending from
As,
this.
we have a capacity of maximum 100, so I think we made dual link on
Correct,
YouTube also.
correct. So, sir, what you can do is you can just circulate one form. You can collect their queries if they have, and
Yes.
you can just email me. Whatever possible help the students will be requiring, we'll try to have.
Yes. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
So I think there is no any question or query from the students. So I think we
If
stop here.
if there are no queries, if some student can unmute and give some feedback about whether the student expectations have been met or not, I will be very happy to understand.
Yes, sir, definitely.
So anyone from the student?
Hello, sir.
Yeah, Rajendra. Sorry, agro makers.
Vaibhav Karma.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Vaibhav.
Yes.
Please continue.
Sir, actually, I have a question regarding the negotiations to resolve the conflicts while project management.
Okay.
So, can you tell me, sir, what are the negotiations that we can made for the resolve the conflicts during team?
See, basically, conflict resolution and negotiations for conflict resolution, that is a one broader area. Depending upon what type of conflict we have, the subject on which there is a conflict, what type of measures we need to take into consideration, that will be decided. So based upon the experience of the project manager, because we cannot have a standard book in which these are the measures which are the negotiating skills for resolving the conflicts. Based upon the conflict, based upon the people who are associated with the conflict, based upon the experience of the project manager, based upon what type of project you are carrying out, there need to have a particular decision about what measures need to be taken, what type of negotiating skills. Like negotiation word is used for basically the parties which are in that particular conflict, because whenever there is conflict, there will be two parties which will be having conflict. It may be two different groups or two people. After your conflict resolution, nobody should feel that there is injustice to that particular party. The negotiation should be such that both the parties, they should get satisfied, they should agree upon whatever solution we are providing, and it should be like a win-win situation. Nobody should feel that somebody has won and somebody has lost in that particular conflict resolution.
Okay, sir. Fine, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yes.
So other students, any question? So sir, I think there is no questions from the students.
Okay, so we can conclude.
Yes, sir. So on behalf of our institute, SNJB's, let's have Kantabai Bhorlal Jain, College of Engineering, Chandwad, Department of Mechanical Engineering. I extend a really hearty vote of thanks to our resource person, Dr. Rahul Vishwanath Dange, who's spared a time from his busy schedule. Today we have had an opportunity to hear your knowledge regarding project management, and this will surely help to our students to grow in future. I am thankful to Honorable Management and Principal Dr. M.D. Kupate sir for giving permission to arrange this webinar. I am also thankful to our HOD Dr. S.D. Sanjeti sir and all faculties of Mechanical Engineering Department for consistent support and helps. Last but not least, I am also thankful to all the students of BA Mechanical Engineering for active participation in this webinar. So thanks to all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. So I declare that today's session is over.